Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see if we can make ourselves right today. let's, let's see if we can actually make ourselves right today. Good morning. I'm Delia Jackie Hope Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the least of legislator for the House of Delegates 93rd District. Super honored to serve. Always in amazing ways, honored to serve. Let me make sure I go live in all the places. That might make sense. All right. We are, apologize for the delay, but if you're just getting here from the replay, there is no delay. So I guess I shouldn't apologize for that. It is December. It is December 11th, which is absolutely wild in its own way. We're rolling our way into 2026, which I want to say I can wait for, but there's just so many feelings about what is or is not. Um, so grateful for you all to join us today, thinking about what's going on. I'll give a timeline again that we are walking our way towards the General Assembly session. So in about a month, 1 month, in 1 month, I'll be headed up to Richmond for that time where we do our lawmaking business, which I'm excited about. Excited about lots of stuff and things. I'm hoping to be able to make our agenda concise so you can see and read and do all the things with it here in the near future. Hey, good morning, Jen Strong. Good morning. Good morning. It's so grateful to have you all this morning. Don't forget this morning dew. The morning dew is really for you. I didn't mean to rhyme, but it's the truth. It's your opportunity to ask the questions, to you know, say what's on your mind, the feedback and all the stuff and things that you have, and maybe give me the opportunity to conversate with you. If you've got any events or anything that's happening, don't forget to drop in the comments so I can share with everybody what you have going on. It would be my honor and pleasure to be able to do that. I'm sort of getting my self together as far as what's been happening lately. I have had, I'm still in a place where I can add things to the legislative agenda, but I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure yet. I'm really trying to get that locomotive going. What has been heavy on my heart is the past couple days. I keep getting a question, and I want you all to internalize it too, right? Um, do you love what you do? And it's funny, I'm saying that because I've been asked it in that way, several times, do you love what you do? And the answer, I think, for me, for most people, is sometimes. Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are aspects, at least that's what I say, there are aspects of this work that I thoroughly enjoy, because that's the truth. There are aspects and there are other parts that I don't. Good morning, David James. How are you today? So good to see you here today. So very good to see you here today. The landscape of what we're working with over the next year. Just want to give you guys some situational awareness about the House, right? In the House, we're in a position where we have last year, this past session. And again, don't forget, if you've got any questions, got any comments, drop them in the chat. This is your time. So I'm just keeping the conversation going while you put your questions in the chat. So here's the dynamics of the House of Delegates. Last year, we were a 51-49, I believe. 51, yeah, 51, 52, 49. I'm brain fogging on that count. And then this year we picked up 13 seats, right? So that means we now have a 64-36 majority. in the House. So, or the split in the House. Let me just say the split in the House is 64-38. What has also happened, and this happens, you all, when there's a new governor and things, that people sometimes end up going into the administration. So for the Virginia House, we've got and confirmed at least one person that's leaving and a possibility of another person, which means there are going to be more elections happening even before I go to Richmond, there are going to be some more elections happening, which will be, interesting to say the least, So there's going to be a lot of new members, new people here, which for some of you all, for some of y'all here who have been paying attention and things, it means like you guys are probably more of experts on the way things processes work and things in state government, maybe than some of even the people that are elected. And that is always a possibility, which is why you're so important in the process, and you're going to be even more important this year. You're going to be even more important this year because over, at least in the Democratic caucus, about 52 to 54%, and maybe even more. At some point, it'll probably be even more of people are either on their first or second term. And let me tell you something. On that first term, you are just getting your footing. You are just trying to figure shit out. It's not even a thing. Like, you're still just trying to figure it out. And I can tell you that second term, you get smarter and maybe a little bit more bold. It's like high school, right? Your freshman year, unless you just already cool, you figuring it out. Sophomore year, you not as much responsibility, but you're still figuring it out. I love it. Chelsea Higgs Wise of Marijuana Justice. I just have to shout that out. Follow that account if you haven't, because I think people are really excited about the possibilities and of stuff and things to be able to happen in the Commonwealth of Virginia with marijuana market. But she says Richmond voted last week and we vote again this Sunday for the primary. Do you get what I'm saying? So like in Richmond, what happened in the Richmond area was their state senator was elected to lieutenant governor. That is Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazala Hashmi. And that means her Senate seat was open. And so because her Senate seat was open, people ran for the Senate seat, 2 delegates to be exact. One of those delegates won. So now there's a vacancy in the House, which means now we'll have another new House members. It's real. It's so real. So like I expect there to be a trickling effect because we did just one of the delegates, Delegate Candy Munding Keene. She just got selected to be the Secretary of the Commonwealth. That is if you don't know what that means, and like if you know, let me just do a bingo here. If you know what the Secretary of the Commonwealth does or is, drop it in the comments, because it's one of those things where like people don't realize like it's always something. It's always something. And I encourage you all to pay attention. Yeah, hey Sean, when to pay attention because there are probably going to be more people coming and going. Yeah, Sean, it's always election season. First termers grab a seat at the delegate class table. I appreciate you, David. He said first termers grab a seat at the delegate class table. Let's go. We're going to try. I think the real thing here, the real thing here is that the public, I say this and I truly mean it, and I because it's real, that my biggest flex is that I have a community of people that keep me educated, that keep me in the know of what's going on the ground, that keep me grounded in what is happening, not just in my community, but community abroad, right? Because all of y'all are my neighbors. That's the way I feel about it. Every last one of you are my neighbors. And so when we look at the breadth of new experience that we have here, it is going to be important that you all recognize that we don't know all the things. And so when you advocate in a beautiful way, and David, I'm always putting you on the spot, but like, I just think about that moment where I had no idea about, paraphernalia with marijuana. I hadn't even read the bill because I didn't see it yet. Like I hadn't voted on it. It wasn't even in my purview, but to have a person in this Commonwealth that has their eyes on it and are able to say, hey, Delegate Glass, let me tell you what's up. And then me, I'm a trust but verify. You can believe that. Like, I'll trust it. Like, let me go see. check it out. But that is a flex. And when you've got so many new people, I need each of you to figure out what's that thing you're going to be brilliant on? What's that thing that you're going to say, you know what? Here's how I'm going to add value and my expertise and my lived experience, because that's what you're an expert in, your lived experience, to this process, because there's so much opportunity ahead. There's so much opportunity. Yep. Chelsea said, congratulations to Candy. That's a big deal. So nobody told me what, okay. Oh, she put it in here. Got it. Okay. Amazing choice. Let's go get, Sean says, get people their rights back. So yes, one of the things that the Secretary of the Commonwealth does is that pardon process, getting people their right to votes back. Chelsea put it in the chat too, that says that they help fill boards and commissions. I don't know if you know, but there are so freaking many state boards and commission. If you have not taken a look, read in a book. No, seriously, if you haven't taken a look at some of those boards, there's one for everything. There's a milk, an egg, a potato. And I'm not being funny. I'm being like for real. But then there's the breadth of other things, everything from aviation to education to youth to women's health to scholarship opportunities. Like one of the commissions that I got put on that I was like, I don't know what this is all about. We just met last week. It's called the Brown versus Board of Education Commission. And what we do is there was a scholarship fund that is set up for anybody who was affected by the Brown v. Board decision, anybody that was affected by the mass resistance that happened here. We provide funding for college, like up to 10 grand. All you have to do is be a descendant of someone who's affected, right? That's it, affected or a descendant, right? It could have been your uncle. If you're able to prove that lineage, we give out and we set those guidelines for that scholarship. Like there's so much stuff, and that's we have citizen members on that as well. So I'm just saying that there is space for you in whatever your cool or weird, however you like to call it, whatever your cool or weird-ish is, there's a space for you to be participatory in this process. So yes, filling commissions, look at the commission, get ready to apply, help fill out these seats. Yeah. So Chelsea brings up a really great point, is that because we're under a new administration, there's going to be a lot of work in getting people filled on these boards and all of these commissions, which means I need you all to start taking a look. One thing you can do is speak to your representative, whether it's your senator or your delegate, and be like, look, I'm really interested in this commission. I'm applying. Can you please put in a good word for me? Yeah, that's a thing. That's the thing. And this is how a lot of these boards and commissions, even at the local level, are how policymakers like myself make decisions, right? It's how things come to us. In the military community, we have what's called the JLC, the Joint Leadership Commission, and it's a bunch of different military folks. I want there to be a more diverse group. I'm gonna put my nose on that. Like I'm gonna touch my nose and say that there needs to be more than just, officers, white, male, retired. Like there's got to be a breadth of people in there, but we need a breadth of people to know about it and apply, because they're giving us advisement on the type of legislation we should be doing for military veterans and their families. You see what I'm saying? So if you ain't there, you ain't there, and that's real. There's a couple crime. Sean said he thinks there's a couple crime commission. I'm saying all of this, but not giving you the website. So I'm going to actually go to the Secretary of the Commonwealth website so that I can give it to you or drop it in the chat for you. But if you have questions, comments, or anything, drop it in the chat. And Sean, I would love to know, you have the big eyeballs there on, I think there's a couple crime commission seats up. Can you drop like why the big eyeballs, right? Because I think it may be important for advocates. And I don't want to call you lobbyists, but I feel like I want to call you lobbyists. But for people like yourself who's in the flow of things, who know when these seats are up and why it's important to you on the advocacy piece or on the lobbying piece, for those to know that those seats are up. I also want to say that, I use the word lobbyist, right? Because, and I know people sometimes think that's a bad word. No, right? Like just as I look at you as my neighbors as a piece of supporting and helping me know what the heck is going on, the lobbyists play a picture in that. Now there's a discernment that has to happen, right? Trust but verify, but they are a part of that process. That's the same way that goes with my neighbors. Like, I believe you, but we don't have to check it out. But I'm getting that getting that website for you, Secretary of the Commonwealth. And please drop it in the chat. There we go, Secretary of the Commonwealth. I'm going to grab that and put it in the chat for you all. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Actually, I'm just going to say it's commonwealth.virginia.gov. And to lay that on the table, for you, you've got, we talked about appointments, and it'll say on the first page, they facilitate appointments to board and commission. They authenticate documents for foreign use. They help the process and review the executive clemency. Excuse me. They do extradition requests. They do the notary commissionings, right? So some of y'all, look, I need to get my notary. I was just thinking about that. They do the rights restoration, right? For civil rights, manage the restoration of civil rights in that process. They assist people in the Commonwealth who've had financial loss and are, pursuing civil remedies through the legal systems. They liaison with the tribes that are recognized here. They are the keeper of the seal. They do the state organizational chart in our blue book, and they do constituent services. So these, as you guys see a lot of these appointments coming out, because here's what I think sometimes is missed when we select executives, right? So when I say when we select executives, I mean whether that's the president of the United States or the mayor of your town or the whatever you call or the governor. We'll just use the state, federal, and local level. When you particularly, maybe not your mayor, but particularly when you pick your president or your governor, you are picking an entire team, because that person is going to build their cabinet. Right? That person is going to build their cabinet, and their cabinet matters to the execution of the operations of said level of government. So who becomes the Department of Education? The Secretary of Education matters. Who becomes the Secretary of Labor and Commerce matter? Who becomes the Secretary of Veterans Affairs matter? So whatever your thing is, know that like when you pick these people, that's you picking who they're gonna put in their lineup, right? And as a person from the Chicagoland area, when I think about a lineup, I want Jordan, I want Pippen. I want Kukoc. I want really being considerate. And I know those are references some of y'all won't get, but Jordan and Pippen. So I want the big three, right? When Miami had Bosh, LeBron, and my brain is farting. Dwayne Wade. Sorry. You want a good lineup. All right. So know you picking teams as well. Sean says lots of great resources on the Secretary of Commonwealth website, including checking your voting status and the status of a pardon if you have one. Absolutely beautiful. Yep. Sean also says it's a government's fantasy draft. For sure. Some years ago, I probably should have did it this year. Actually, I might go ahead and do it. Because it's already set up for my podcast, Your Neighbor's Hood. We did a fantasy cabinet. It was so cool. We did a fantasy cabinet, and we let people draft the folks that they thought were going to be in the cabinet way back when. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, we need to do one. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Hold me accountable. I already have the stuff set up for a fantasy cabinet. Let's go. It could be fun. It could be fun. But for real, and it takes advocates like you and people in the know to know what kinds of things are needed in those spaces and places to make recommendations on who gets to sit in those seats. Good morning, Jennifer. Good morning. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen your name in so long, so it's so good to see you, Jennifer Dalton. Yeah, it's a blessing. Always, always, always. So please don't hesitate. Let me just say the last couple things, and then we'll get on our way. Good day, good day, good day. Yeah, Fantasy Cap. It was so fun, Chelsea. It was so fun. We were drafting all women. Don't be mad. Don't be mad at me. Okay. I have bias. Okay. We all have bias. We all have bias. But um, some other, I guess, more serious things are going on. We are in election season, and you'll notice that you're gonna start seeing folks starting to campaign at the federal level, because 2026 has our we have a U.S. senator up, so at the federal level here, as well as all of our congressional folks are going to be up. So you'll start seeing that people will be talking about running for Congress, and you'll probably see more of Senator Mark Warner as well. One thing that we're holding in our hands, and if you've been, I don't want to say been under a rock, but not been or been a part of the process, then you know that we are still grappling with the redistricting and what's going to happen with that. Texas went ahead and said, call my bluff. So you're seeing that rippling effects of states. And can I be fair with you? It doesn't matter what we do. There's going to be a degradation of our systems no matter what happens. But this is not an opportunity to be passive. And that's that is the way that I'm looking at it, is that like, we can choose to watch things happen, or we can match, fire with fire, or fire with strategy, right? With the I was going to use a Navy reference, but it's not a fun time, but it is. Here's how I put it right now: with the way the world is, while it's not fun, what a time to be alive. Right? What a time to be a decision maker. What a time to be a person in the community. What a freaking time, as hard as it is. And so like, we're going to spend our privilege. And that's where I feel like I come from in this work, is like, I have the privilege to do it because my spouse has a good job, because I've got a community that's supporting me, because I got time, right? Because I got time. And that is why I need y'all on the things that matter most to you, because in this work, it can feel very, I get a lot of anxiety about having to make certain decisions, and are they the right decisions? And do I have the most information? Do I have all the information that I need to make the best choice? Recognizing that I ain't gonna make every last one of y'all happy. That's not gonna happen. But I'm doing the best that I can with the information that I have. And it's always, for me, it always feels better doing this work when I've had opportunity to talk to people and hear where they're coming from, and it helps guide me. Or maybe in those rooms, because let me just be real clear with you. There is the world in our community, and then there is the legislature, and then there is those back rooms, right? And to be a person being able to sit in those back rooms and have those conversations, that in your chest, you can feel like something is the right thing to do, and the room is going in a totally different direction. And it takes so much courage, and it takes so much like, maybe the courage isn't the word, but it takes so much to be able to stand in whatever your respective truth is, if it doesn't go with the grain in those spaces. But again, I will say, for me, it gets easier when I know what I'm grounded in, right? I'm not going into the room looking for an opinion. I'm going in the room to hear things out. David James said the money room, LOL. It's not the money room, but it is an opinion room. And it's what I also find fascinating, right, is I sit here duly elected, right? Like, really duly elected. Thank you to the folks in the 93rd district who said yes. Thank you to those who said no but showed up, or thank you to those who, still don't come outside my door with pitchforks, like that. Give me the space to do the thing. It is not easy. Let's say this: power is seductive. It is extremely seductive. If you've been in any institution, then you know that uh, there is always a draw for better or for worse. And this does not make people evil, because power, I think we have to redefine our relationship with power, because it takes power to do good stuff too. Right. It takes power to do bad stuff. It takes power to do, so we have to redefine that relationship. But in those rooms, when there's an epicenter of power, be it good or bad, it is super seductive and people want to lean into it. And there's a thing, the phrase proximity to power is real, because there's a desire to be in proximity. And sometimes you may do out of character things, or one may do out of character things because it feels like it's getting you closer to the epicenter, or it's just difficult to dissent or go against what is happening. So I encourage you as doers, right? You're up here early. I encourage you to start building a relationships with your elected representatives on your thing, to help ground them. And I love that David James says, should be the heart and soul of the room. It's hard. And I see it, right? I just am very fortunate for myself. And this is why I think I am able to show up the way I do, or at least what I believe is, I come from love. I grew up feeling loved. Um, I have decent relationships. My spouse is a friend who gives me both positive and negative feedback. Like, I have people around me that'll tell me I ain't shit. Respectfully, and I love you in the same breath, which is great because I love that feedback. But it can be hard. And so something I was talking about with my spouse this morning is about, how do I give grace to people in this space that I may think that I maybe want to say, you ain't shit. And I want them to tell me too, right? Like, I want it to be reciprocal of that things. It can be difficult. So you all are a huge part of grounding people in truth, should they have a moral compass, right? Should they have one? Because that also matters. That also matters too. Oh, thank you, Miss Yolanda. I appreciate it. But as I said, the work that is going to happen, you're going to see people out in the streets. This next election is super important. You're also going to start seeing folks talking about, because of that redistricting aspect. I don't know what we're going to do yet. I mean, I like I said, Texas made a move. California's got the opportunity to make a move. Some other folks are making moves. So I imagine Virginia's going to make moves. So you may see other people starting to talk about how they're going to run for Congress as well, too. So the House could look our House and our Senate could look very interesting as folks sort of step into other positions. So that voting season, as Sean said, we're always in voting season. It hasn't ended yet. David James says, and the money, people talk about taking money from MSOs. Help me, what is that? But they don't do their bidding. It ain't human nature, though. They talk about taking money from MS. I don't know what MSOs is, and I feel like I should, but maybe I'm just missing it this morning. Yeah, money in the political arena it's a very interesting thing, because I've seen folks, take money from certain individuals and not do their bidding, right? Like, I know that, having a compass matters. I also know how difficult it is to be and do this work without funding. I say, I have to remind people, like, I fundraise what I need and I don't really do much more. And that doesn't help. That doesn't help me amass any power in the back rooms, right? Because your ability to have funding or have a war chest, as people like to say, does directly influence your ability to sometimes be able to lead in those spaces. Now, that sort of goes both ways, because when you are in a place where you're leading, people tend to give you more money, right? Like, because there's more things, more duties and responsibilities you have. So it is kind of I don't want to say a mind fuck, but it is a little twisted in that money can tell you things. It doesn't all. Money can tell a story about a person, but what can tell you even more is their voting record, and their presence. So I would say just be mindful of that. Queen Rising says, I work for the EPA as a grant specialist, and every day it is hard to go to work. I want to say that again, and I want to sort of honor that, because I get it. I get it. So for those of you who can't see the comments, it's on Instagram. It's Queen Rising, who I love and respect. Thank you for being here. She says, I work for the EPA as a grants specialist, and every day it is hard to go to work. And she is not alone in that there are so many people in government jobs right now who are withstanding the test of time, who are walking in with heartbreak, walking out with heartache, and are a service to our country. So Queen Rising, I just want to say, like, thank you for continuing to show up, because I know that is a tall ask, that being tried on a daily basis and being, having maybe the heart and soul taken out of your work. I can say I overstand that sometimes the work feels like someone's just trying to snatch the humanity out of it. But I thank you and any other federal worker or state worker, depending on where you are, because I know it's people all over the place, or local worker, right? Like wherever, if you're in government right now or something adjacent to it, and you are not 100% aligned with all the happenings, I could certainly understand why it could be demoralizing and make it hard to go to work. And you're trying to make a living, and eggs cost $2, and your light bill was $500, and your gas bill was $200. Can you tell I understand? It's hard. It's hard. And sometimes folks miss that we're all doing a service in some way. So thank you. Oh, David, thank you so much. You said multi-state operators. Virginia medical cannabis is mostly run by out-of-state corporations, taking money out of Virginia and out of the state into out-of-state bank accounts. Yeah, that's a whole thing. There's several. Someone was just having a conversation with me about that, from the lines of not just the medical cannabis industry, but like for energy and things like that, like how we're just funneling and filtering money outside the Commonwealth. Like, do better. I'm here. He says, David James also says the Virginia cannabis profits should largely stay in our economy. I cannot agree with you more on that. Because we are in a place where we have to think about different types of economies that are going to fund the things that we're going to do. As we see from the federal government, there's a high sense of take care of it yourself, manage your own. You got to take on more responsibility, that especially the financial, the money part. So I'm with you on that as we diversify our economies, adding marijuana, adding gaming, adding these things, we got to make sure that some of these monies circulate back into our economy, that there's a benefit, because we need it, because we've got to step up and fund more things. Like we got to fund our SNAP, we got to fund our, like it. This is real. Queen Rising said it has been snatched, but it is my love and keeps me going. I appreciate you. David says it's a destruction of the circular. I love the circular economy. Don't you go start speaking no love language to me here. Yeah, it is a destruction of our circular economies. And Queen Rising, our communities are 1000% affected by how we are able to show up. Yep, and that's what we got to realize. Federal dollars are going away, and we don't want. He says we don't want folks getting a head start on Virginia businesses, which they are. 1000%, which they are. You couple all of this, you couple all of what you all are saying, the identities that we have in our work with so many other things. I can tell you right now, as I get ready to sign off, because we've done our 30 minutes, y'all. It's time to go. As I get ready to sign off, something that is weighing heavily on me is the threats, right? I am really, here's how I want to put it. What if a company that you never heard of was quietly collecting the most intimate things about you? Not your credit score, not your search history, but like your DNA. And what if that company wasn't in Norfolk, or for me, right? Or wasn't even in the United States, and it was, someplace like China, right? We are in a situation where there are companies out there that are testing our critical infrastructure, that are collecting about our DNA, that are direct threats to the survivability of these United States. And, I think the senator, he was just talking about a company called BGI. It's a Chinese genomics company that a lot of folks in the intelligence circles are watching very closely. And it's one of the, if you haven't looked them up, and I don't mean to cause like panic, but these are the things I'm also thinking about, coming from, my background is I have a tiny piece of intelligence gathering, right? A tiny piece of the work, because it is painting a picture, and it takes a myriad of expertise to sort of build intel. But in intelligence circles right now, there's this organization called BGI. It's one of the biggest genomics companies in the world. They run DNA sequencing labs in China and around the world. Hospitals, drug companies, researchers, like in dozens of countries, and they send them genetic samples to analyze. So if you think about the aspects of like cancer screening, prenatal screenings, the whole population of genetic studies, like especially like during the pandemic, they helped some countries build their COVID testing. And on paper, that should really sound like straight up medical innovation. It should. But where we meet tension is at scale. DNA stops just being health data, and it sort of becomes like this strategic power, right? Because your DNA respectfully reveals your ancestry. It reveals your physical traits, your disease risk, your family relationships, and like zoom that into the hundreds of millions of people's DNA. We are like in an arms race. Yeah, because when you like mix DNA databases with artificial intelligence, with state power, it's not, we transition from this aspect of treating diseases, of treating diseases, and people can model populations, track people, and in theory, in design, and be very targeted with biological tools, good or bad. And I'm super concerned about biological warfare. Oof, oof, oof. We've had little towns in Virginia that have had their water technologies hacked by Chinese government, right? Like hacks. So it is. Not only am I concerned about the threats to the Commonwealth, I'm concerned about the threats to these United States. I want more people to get hyper aware of the geopolitical situation in the world. I think as Americans, we stray away from that because of our own idea of exceptionalism, that we don't necessarily know what things are happening in the world and how they relate to us. So just know, there's a lot to be worried about. I'm grateful that you all are doing the things that you can do in the corner of the world. I'm hopeful that we continue to do this good work together. Good morning, Ray. And we'll talk more about that. I don't want to put anybody on hyper alert, because my chest gets a little starts to tighten when I think about these other threats. But if you're interested in that, there's a bill in DC called the Biosecure Act, and it's a bill that says, like, if you're getting money from the U.S., that you shouldn't be doing business with certain biotech companies that our government sees that has ties to like adversarial governments. So yeah. The House passed it, the Senate passed it, and they're trying to reconcile things, but I think we have a lot of bad people out there that want that wants, they want your body data. They want that, yeah. Yeah, Virginia is in the mix, and yeah. Oof. Ooh, I got myself a little, I get anxiety, but here's the deal. I don't want to make anybody scared. I just want to make sure that we all are aware and awake. We talk a lot in this world, in the doers world, about educate, advocate, celebrate, legislate. And I'm always looking for our opportunities where we can educate so we can better legislate moments, right? That's the goal. If it's a circle, if it's a circle of thing, if it's a cycle of educate, advocate, celebrate, legislate, it's like, how do we do that better? So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate y'all. I value y'all. I will catch you where are we gonna see each other? I don't know, in these streets. Grateful for you all to join us on the morning dew for certified doers just like you. And until next time, be safe, be kind, find your North Star, and keep doing, because doers get more done. And don't sue me, Home Depot. Take care, y'all. Make it a great day. See you next week or in these streets.